Hey everybody, I am Joe Tobias, a Washington State elopement photographer based in Seattle. And I think that every photographer should, at some point or another, spend some time working with a waist level viewfinder. Now, if you're new to this concept and you're like, what is a waist level viewfinder? I can answer that question for you really quick. As I use these examples, I'm just going to use my Mimiya RC67 because that's the camera I have. But a waist level viewfinder is a camera that you look down into the viewfinder here. So to see what the camera is seeing, I'm looking down into it just like so. And then the ground glass is mounted there, goes through a mirror and out the lens so I can see it. It could be a style like this. It would be something like the Hasselblads are the same body style, or it could be like a TLR, which is one with like two lenses on the front. So that would be like a Rolleiflex of it. But no matter what, the key being is that when you are taking the photo, the camera is not to your eye, but is rather down here and you're looking down at it. The first reason why I think it's really important that everybody spends time with that kind of a thing is because it's a different angle than what your eye sees. I cannot count how many times that I've gone to and been photographing a scene and I keep seeing it at my eye level. I'm 6'1". I take a lot of photos standing. So that means most of the time the camera is somewhere between, I might like squat just a little bit to like be on my tippy toes or raise the camera just a little bit. So the camera is almost always somewhere between 5 to 6.5 feet off the ground. But with that, every time I grab this camera and I look down, instantly I see the world from 3.5 feet. And that's different. That changes horizon lines. That changes the way that framing works. And I'm instantly seeing the world and getting feedback of what it could look like in a different way. And yes, I'm taking photos with this camera for sure. And, it has its limitations because like I can't shoot this at my eye because I can't see what I'm doing. And you can do like the over the top look like that. But it's just like really difficult. That's not really what its benefit is. But I can instantly look down through here and I can see the world through that other angle. I can see things differently. Like this photo here I took on the Washington coast was one that I kind of was being creatively stymied. Or like I felt like I'd creatively worked through a scene when I was shooting on digital. And then I grabbed the camera and I looked at it and instantly the couple was standing off the water in a different angle and looked way more regal, way more powerful. And then I took it on digital as well. I was like, oh, well, if I squat down, I can probably make this look really cool. That's to say, like, you don't necessarily need to go buy another camera. If you have a camera with a flip out screen, so like the Canon R6 that I'm using to use this video has a flip out screen. So just like flip the screen out and you can see it. I mean, almost all of the mirrorless cameras have some sort of an articulating screen in it. And that allows you to use that out there and to look at what the camera sees from that other angle. And that practice of holding the camera, seeing the place in a different place is really good and keeps you creatively pushing yourself. The second reason that I think everybody should use one of these cameras, especially on film, is just because it's almost always going to be a different format. It's going to be a different frame size than what you're used to. This is 6x7. A Hasselblad would be a square format. And that's not the same frame size as your digital camera is, that your digital sensor is. Those are usually the 2x3. It's a little bit different. And having that practice, having that thing be different, gives you, again, another opportunity to make creative photos, to compose, to think of things in a different way. And I can go back to that same thing. If you don't want to be shooting this, if you don't want to shoot film, if you don't go buy another one, because you can just set your camera to be a square format. Like I can go in on my R6, set the frame lines to be a square, but it's still shooting raw. So it actually is shooting the whole frame. It's just only showing me that. And I can practice composing with just that square. And it gives me a lot of that same experience without having to actually pay for film. And the last reason that I think everybody should practice with one is that it simply takes the camera from being between you and your subject. Every time I'm photographing, again, I'm going to put this up to my eye, even though I know I can't. But if this is here and my normal SLR is here in front of my face, then I'm seeing the world through the camera. But if I'm working with a client, if I'm working with a couple, there is a barrier. There is a camera between them. And so If you're working with people who might be a little bit more camera shy, someone who is not quite as comfortable in front of it, having a waist level viewfinder shooting from down here allows me to be interacting with them the whole time. And like, yes, it definitely is a little bit different because I'm doing this kind of thing. Like I'm looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up. And like, that definitely slows down your workflow. It definitely does change things a little bit because I'm unable to, I'm unable to interact with them in quite the same way. And I think with practice, you do get really good at like having the camera to your face and you're kind of talking and then working down, you're talking, and like I can kind of, especially because I'm right eye dominant, then the camera is going up and coming down, but my left eye is kind of never breaking eye contact with people. But it still is the camera itself from the client's experience, they're still seeing that camera. And so having something down here allows me to be talking at you, and we're having that conversation. I'm going to look down here, and we're going to look up here, and we'll look down here. But with that, there still is nothing ever breaking my eyes and their eyes. So the client is actually able to see my eyes the entire time. The subject is able to see my eyes the entire time. Now, I, as the photographer, am having to go back and forth. But it helps to lower that barrier so that they might feel more comfortable because they're not actually staring down the lens. We interact with people in a way that feels very authentic and feels like we're looking right at each other while making the photos and without making that major adjustment. So with that, thanks for watching. What's your experience with a waist level viewfinder? Have you used one before? If so, let me know in the comments below what you like best about it or why you don't like it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you around.